All right, today we're going to talk about St. Petersburg, but not just talk about the little things about it or some kind of list or some kind of cost of living thing. Like, I actually want to go to the map. We're going to go to Google Earth. I'm going to give you a full tour of the St. Petersburg area. We'll talk about the borders, we'll talk about the neighborhoods, and I'll fill in some gaps, hopefully. Here we go. I'm Sam, and this is the Living in Tampa channel. Today we're talking about St. Petersburg, number 2 city in the whole Tampa area, a city of about 250,000 people, and a super popular place for reasons that we'll get into for sure. As much as we love making these videos for you, we would love more a chance to earn your real estate business. So give us a call, text, or email anytime. I'm actually the one that gets all those calls, texts, and emails, and I would love to hear from you. Somebody called the other day and the question came up, and this question comes up regularly, like, are you actually the one in the videos? Yes, that's me. There are some other agents on our team, and occasionally they will make those return calls or things like that, but I like to be the one to be your first point of contact. So just like we've done these Google Earth tours with some other areas, we've done Wesley Chapel, and we've done West Chase. St. Petersburg is another area that I wanted to do this for because some of the borders are a little confusing, and I want to point out some neighborhoods in this area that you might not think about. Of course, previously we did a neighborhood video about the Crescent Lake neighborhood and just showed quite a bit of it. I'm curious what you thought of that. Love to look at the comments there and look at them here. Let me know what you think of that. Let me know what other neighborhoods in St. Petersburg you'd like to see that for. But let's jump right into the map. All right, starting right here, you see the whole Tampa area. All the way up here to San Antonio, where that Murata neighborhood is. Actually, the whole area goes up even further. Oftentimes, Hernando County, this next county up to the north, is included in the Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater area. But we're gonna focus on St. Petersburg right here. Let's pop down to St. Pete. Okay, so is it St. Petersburg or is it St. Pete? It's definitely not St. Pete's. Some people say that. It's kind of like saying Walmart's, which you can say that too. You can say whatever, but it's St. Petersburg. There's also a beach town called St. Pete Beach, and they changed their name specifically years ago to be St. Pete Beach, not St. Petersburg Beach. So 2 separate towns, and we'll talk about these borders. But let's start right here. We're gonna go all the way around. We'll start here at downtown St. Petersburg. The famed pier right here opened up during the pandemic. My father-in-law often talks about the $1 million pier that was here before, and then they redid the version of that. They had this like upside down pyramid thing on it. You can see some pictures here. The pier is really cool. There's a little beach out here. There's parks, there's restaurants. It's really cool. These shots don't go out here very far. But it comes out here into the water. There's a restaurant at the end. There's a restaurant back here, a restaurant over here. There's a marina. It's really cool. And it's really kind of the highlight for this area. This is the Tampa Bay that downtown faces. This is Beach Drive over here, where there's condos and restaurants. There's a park here in between those two where they do all kinds of events. Another really common park up here is the Vinoy Park. Right up here outside of the Vinoy Hotel. This is the Vinoy Hotel right here. This hotel also owns the golf course that's up in Snell Isle. So this waterfront with boats all around kind of downtown experience is really cool. And there's a lot of other stuff to do downtown as well. Here's the Rowdies soccer stadium. There's museums down here, the Dali Museum. There's a fine art museum. There's a history museums. There's all kinds of stuff. And you can see as you go like west through downtown, this is a big area. You can see it's also developing pretty fast as well. As you zoom in here to Central Avenue, this is just packed with restaurants. You can see some of this drone footage and you can see some of this driving footage this is a cool area. Cool condos through here. And you're paying a premium for a lot of this housing right along Central Avenue. Okay, back to the borders. We'll get back to this neighborhood. As you go south around here, we're gonna go clockwise. You go down to like the hospital. There's a big hospital right here. You go down into some older historic neighborhoods. These are old historic, like historic Rosier Park. I don't know how to say it. We'll pop down in here real quick. You can see a lot of bungalows, a lot of older homes. St. Petersburg is really full of older homes. You got old brick roads through here. So there's gonna be a lot of homeowners in here, and a lot of these homeowners have been here a long time, but there's gonna be rentals mixed throughout here. And some of those, you know, maybe being a little run down, some of them being duplexes and triplexes. All that stuff just gets mixed in. But then you can see some older renovated stuff with a little garage apartment back here. People want to live in these areas, and then you have a lot of this energy going into like making these areas nicer. Here's a little duplex, which actually looks like a pretty nice little duplex. Oh, you can see I just picked it out because there's 2 doors. Maybe this guy's moving out or moving in. And then here right next to it, you have super modern new construction. All this right here off of downtown. All right, let's go back to the borders. We'll get back to all this too. Okay. So you have these older historic neighborhoods. Some of these are in like, you know, mid-transition. You see a lot of that like kind of development, new places being built, things like that. Places being renovated, it's happening a lot. As you go south, there's an area down here that people love called Coquina Key. You see it, it's pretty much this island. There's 2 bridges to get onto here. There's condos down here at this end. There's houses throughout. We're going in. A lot of these are older houses, 50s, 60s, 70s. There's gonna be some big houses in here along the water. You can see them peeking up already. But a lot of these are pretty small houses. Mostly 3-bedroom, 1,500 square feet. Some with little additions, some with, you know, really interesting updates and renovations. Overall, this is a really cool area, super beachy kind of vibe. But nothing is very big. Even the lots are not very big. These over here are on the water, so these are gonna get pretty pricey. A lot of cul-de-sacs as you go through here. And this is completely not bridge locked, bridge unlocked. You don't have to go under a bridge to get out to the bay. And then you can get out to the Gulf pretty easily from here as well. And you see just the visual of that is beautiful. There's a lot of neighborhoods like this around the St. Petersburg area. Then as you go over more toward the beaches, you get more of these that have all these canals in between. It's really a unique feel. But the big houses get really packed in on these lots. You don't have much backyard, and maybe you don't want it. Let's get back up here in the sky. So that's Coquina Key. So we continue going around the border. The next area I want to highlight, you have more historic neighborhoods. You have a little golf course neighborhood in here, all interesting stuff. But the next one I want to highlight is Pink Streets. And I'm not highlighting everything, okay? There's plenty of the historic Southeast. There's all kinds of cool neighborhoods through here that we can't get into in one video. Okay, Pink Streets. You can see why it's named Pink Streets from the Google Earth view. These streets are all stained pink. Super cool. Also, really fun historic houses. You see some of them have water access, but not a ton of them. Let's go in and check out some of these pink streets. I showed this to my daughter and she said they're not pink, they're maroon. So it's not like the neighborhood is called Pink Streets, that's just kind of what everyone knows it as. And there's all kinds of mixtures of homes. So here's like a 70s, late 70s kind of Tudor style home. But then you have, you know, this is early 60s, mid 60s. ranch style. You're gonna have all kinds of these little ranch style. Some people will call this like a rambler style. Actually, maybe a rambler has a little flatter of a roof. But there's all kinds of different homes in this neighborhood. Here you see some newer stuff too. Newer, bigger homes here. But Pink Streets is a very loved area, super unique, and still really easy access to downtown. You can see the different ways you could get up to downtown from here. You could go through these neighborhoods. There's tons of ways you could get up here, up to downtown. You could get over to the water. You could get over to the beaches. In the middle of all this, you have the big Boyd Hill Nature Preserve. Florida's good at this. They really are. And Pinellas County is good at incorporating parks into these preserves and making them really nice. This place also has a big bird rescue, which I know because my little kids are into it. We've gone to like presentations for that before, and they have the littlest little screech owls. It's so cute. Okay, Pink Streets. Let's keep going around here. As you come around, this is all still St. Petersburg and is actually some pretty interesting areas. But as you pop over here, this is called Broadwater. This is kind of a suburban area that I end up searching for clients occasionally. There was one like geodesic dome house over here I almost helped a client buy. It was a really cool spot. But as you come over here, you hop out of St. Petersburg. As I zoom out a little bit, you can see the border. This is Gulfport. And then this is South Pasadena. These are both separate towns from St. Petersburg. Gulfport is cool little water access properties down here. Some of these condos and apartments have cool water access, but it's not St. Petersburg. Feels a lot like it, but it's a little bit slower. As you come over to this area, this whole area, kind of this big section by the water, this neighborhood up here is called Jungle Terrace, but they kind of call this whole area the Jungles. I don't really know why. I mean, a lot of the amenities, the neighborhoods are kind of follow those names, but they're just older style, cool neighborhoods. And you'll get this, everything in St. Petersburg is old. Everything. Most stuff, things in St. Petersburg is old. Now look at this street. It makes sense why it's called the Jungles, right? Florida is jungly for sure. It's older 60s, 70s houses. Kind of everything in between. Wow, I picked like the jungliest road in this whole area, I think. I love it. Here's a little less jungly. Some nice palm trees throughout. Here you see a bigger, newer house, or maybe just, completely renovated house. There's all kinds of mixtures in between throughout the jungles. Here across the street, you see just like a late 60s ranch. So the Jungles is a really cool area. Has pretty good schools over here. So families are often drawn to this side of St. Petersburg. Okay, zooming back out. See this line goes across here. Just to the north of this is Kenneth City, and then the north of that is Leelman. Leelman is technically St. Petersburg addresses, but it's unincorporated, so it's just kind of different. We're not going to talk about that. But as you go east from the Jungles, you hit all of these neighborhoods that touch Central Avenue. So Central Avenue's down here, where it came from downtown. There's still tons of commercial stuff along Central Avenue, good restaurants. There's a bus line that goes from downtown to the beach, all the way out here to St. Pete Beach. Down here. Yeah, it turns down and goes into St. Pete Beach. There's not much parking at St. Pete Beach, so the Sunrunner bus is a nice addition. The neighborhoods that make up this area are Diston Heights. Let's just ultimately show you where Diston Heights falls on the map. It's pretty big, kind of the north side of that chunk. Then the south side of this is Central Oak Park. Then the east side of this is Kenwood. So you have historic Kenwood down here. this little area, and then you have Greater Kenwood up here. All these are really similar to each other. There's a lot of brick road neighborhoods. You see Central Oak Park right here. As we zoom in further, you can see this whole neighborhood has brick roads. This whole neighborhood has big mature trees. There's a lot of houses through here that have alleys behind them. You can see behind this one, there's an alley. So you would go in your alley to park. Your garage would have access back there. I kind of like that. It reminds me of just growing up in a small town, being able to go through alleys, being able to ride my bike through alleys. But you can see a mixture of homes through here, a lot of them being older, a lot of homes being built in the early 1900s, but then, you know, throughout the next 100 years, people have been building houses in these neighborhoods. So this is 2nd Avenue North. So this is 2 blocks off of Central Avenue. Central Avenue is where it switches from north to south on the street names. So the avenues run east and west in St. Petersburg, and the streets run north and south. Interesting older houses. Some of them need some work. Some of them need some good people to move into them. I'm not saying there's bad people living there now. I'm just saying, like, some of these places just need some love. They need somebody excited to come invest some of their time, money, and energy into these neighborhoods. Cool neighborhood. Central Oak Park is often overshadowed by Kenwood, but I really like it. It's quiet. You can see the brick roads. You can see the big sidewalks throughout. A lot of alley access. There's no sidewalks on this road. That's really interesting to me, because they pick back up over here, they pick back up over here, but then you have a chunk where there's no sidewalks. It doesn't all make sense in any of these, but let's head over to Kenwood real quick too, because this one's loved. It is. One of the things I dislike about Kenwood, though, is how close it is to the interstate. You are going to get noise here. Now, it's not crazy. You know, stop and go noise is often louder, but there's going to be a lot of traffic coming in to downtown, a lot of traffic coming in for baseball games, all kinds of stuff like that. But Kenwood is a pretty similar neighborhood to Central Oak Park. You do have some bigger roads going north and south through here. So this is like kind of goes through the neighborhood, but it's quite a bit busier than the neighborhood roads. You can see it's just charming bungalows throughout. It's like, this is stuff like this, and bungalows, these typical like pillars and front porch and all those kind of things that you see throughout Florida. Cool places. All right, going back up here, gotta make our way around. But Central Oak Park, Distant Heights, and Kenwood are all these historic neighborhoods that touch Central Avenue. Let's go back to the outline of St. Petersburg. We'll work our way to the north. So we were just right here. This is historic Kenwood. This is Greater Kenwood. Then as you go north up here, or east first, this is the Crescent Lake neighborhood. It's the lake right there. Check out our recent video about that neighborhood. Then as you go up here, you go into Greater Crescent Lake, and you go into Woodlawn. As you go up past Woodlawn, you go into Allendale and Meadowlawn. These neighborhoods are really similar to each other. You have some that have houses packed in here, some that are a little more curvy road. This is Allendale over here. I like this neighborhood. It's just kind of different. So this is obviously a little condo building. Look at these big trees, 60s, 70s houses, some newer ones mixed in there. Look at this guy just hanging out. He's probably wondering why there's a big camera on this car. Very loved neighborhoods like this throughout. but none of them are that big. The biggest difference between St. Petersburg and Tampa is all of these neighborhoods. Tampa just doesn't have this kind of neighborhood diversity. Like, they've got some neighborhoods throughout, but most of the neighborhoods that make up Tampa are in suburbs like West Chase or like places like that. Okay. I don't have a good name for that. That's kind of Crescent Lake all the way up to these Meadow Lawn, Woodlawn neighborhoods. This little section of residential is a super great option for a lot of people. There are busy through streets through each of these areas, like 4th Street here. Super busy, commuters going up and down, but still, these neighborhoods are great options. Okay, couple more places. First, let's talk about Gandy. So this Gandy area implies this Gandy Bridge. I don't know why it's called Gandy. Surely there's somebody named Gandy that got to put their name onto this. This is pretty commercial. Sure, there's some houses up here. There's even some interesting little waterfront pockets, smaller homes. When I say smaller, I mean 3-bedroom. But then a lot of this is just kind of drive-through area, commute, flyover kind of country. That kind of has that vibe. You kind of commute through a lot of this area. A couple mobile home parks up here. Some of these mobile home parks are really nice though. There's a couple of companies that have bigger campuses up here. Jabil has a campus over here. Things like that. Okay, as we finish this up, we're gonna circle around this area, finish out the map with Shore Acres and Snell Isle. So Shore Acres is kind of this, I mean, it's really like this whole area right here. And then Snell Isle is this little exclusive, loved area right here by the Coffee Pot Bayou. Beautiful, beautiful area. Let's go and check out Snell Isle. Snell Isle has these like mountain lion statues. I'm sure they're Florida panthers, so like I'm pretty sure that's the state animal. The Florida panther are these street signs. You see them right there. There's occasional street signs, but most of them are marked with these, and these say the street names on them as you go throughout Snell Isle. It's a cool area. It's really kind of got this exclusive, fun vibe. You have some huge houses like this that are along the little canals that go through. There's not traffic that goes through this neighborhood. That's one of the things I really love about it. These homes along the water are in the 2.5 to 5 million range. The ones that are not on the water are in the 1.2 to 1.8 million range. This is a pretty exclusive neighborhood, but it makes sense. The roads do flood quite a bit too. This is probably just from somebody like draining something. Here you can see another one of those statues by the road. We sold a house to a client recently in Shore Acres. And the home, I'll show you where it is. So here's Snell Isle. The house that we sold is right up in here. So right in the middle of all of this, surrounded by multi-million-dollar houses, we sold this little $600,000 house. And being the small house in the neighborhood is often a thing that people want, right? So there's cool pockets through here. There's a lot of homes that are in that $600,000 to $900,000 range. This was a 4-bedroom house with a pool, an older house that had been kind of updated. So that's St. Petersburg. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of the map tours? What did I leave out? What do you want me to cover about St. Petersburg that would be helpful to you? What neighborhoods would you like for me to dive into and explore more of? Or maybe for each of the neighborhoods, I could have done a little better job explaining prices and things like that. I would love some of your feedback. And as always, I would love to hear from you. So call, text, or email anytime. And as always, thanks for coming by.